Have you ever found yourself, maybe with your morning coffee in hand, just staring at your phone, waiting for a single notification, that simple good morning text from your son or daughter? But it doesn't come. And you're like David, a retired engineer from Ohio. He sent his daughter, Sarah, who's in Chicago, a photo of that legendary baseball game he watched last weekend. No reply. 2 days later, he wrote, "Hope everything's okay. Seen." But again, no reply. That silence can be more deafening than the loudest argument you've ever had, can't it? It's a silence that seeps into your bones, whispering, "Where did I go wrong?" If this scenario sounds even vaguely familiar, know this: you are not alone. Thousands of people are already living with the pain of feeling invisible to the very people who were once their entire world. And that hurts. It truly hurts. Because no matter how grown they are, they're always our children. But let me tell you a secret. You are not powerless in this situation. You do not have to let that silence define your worth. In fact, how you respond can either turn that gap into an ocean or build the very first bridge to healing. If you're serious about aging with health and handling this with dignity, watch this until the end, because what I'm about to share could change everything. Now, let's get to that painful truth most people try to avoid. Being ignored by your child feels like a direct rejection, an abandonment, sometimes even a punishment. But before we panic and rush to blame ourselves, let's just pause. Take a deep breath. Because what often feels like a personal attack might actually be about something else entirely. Sometimes children pull away not because their love is gone, but because they are drowning in the chaos of their own lives. You know those moments. The job, the spouse, their own kids, the bills, and in the middle of that mess, they simply don't know how to maintain a healthy connection with you. Or maybe something that was a small, forgotten moment for you from their childhood left a much deeper mark on their soul than you ever realized. This doesn't mean you haven't tried. I know you have. You've sent texts, left voicemails. Maybe you even tried to play it cool, to act like you weren't hurt. But when you get no response, it feels like you're talking into a void. And that can exhaust even the most patient heart. This is the exact moment where you take back your first real piece of power. Stop chasing, stop begging, and stop collapsing in shame. Your child's behavior does not erase the years of love, care, and sacrifice you've given. It doesn't make you a worse parent. On the contrary, this is the moment that calls for the kind of wise strength that only time and experience can provide. This brings us to the second, and perhaps most surprising, step. Analyze the situation without blaming yourself. Look, most parents in this situation immediately turn inward. Was I too strict? Too soft? Did I say something that pushed them away? While this self-reflection is normal up to a point, drowning in a sea of guilt helps no one. Because guilt turns you from a person of dignity into someone who apologizes for their very existence. Instead, conduct a compassionate audit of your past. Ask yourself honestly, even if it wasn't my intention, was there something I said or did that might have hurt them? And if something comes to mind, be ready to own it. Not to win them back, but because true healing can only begin where truth is welcome. But, and this but is crucial, if you look back and realize that you did the very best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time, then hold on to that truth tightly. Show compassion for yourself, too. Now, let's talk about that urge to fix things. You know, that need to send one more text, to explain again, to try a different approach. It's so human. It comes from love. But if they've gone silent, more noise won't bring them closer. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to stop talking. Not forever, but for now. This silence on your part isn't giving up. It's giving space. And space does something remarkable. It allows emotions to settle. It invites perspective. And most importantly, it shifts the energy. You transform from the parent who is constantly knocking on the door to the one who waits quietly with an open door and an open heart. And while you wait, I want you to do something else, something vital. Start nurturing the parts of your life that don't revolve around their response. Reconnect with old friends. Join a hobby group that brings you joy. Start writing those memoirs you've been thinking about. The more you reclaim your own space, the more you remember that you are a whole individual, not just a parent waiting for a reply. Because here's the secret. When a child senses that their parent's entire emotional well-being depends on them, it pushes them further away. Not because they don't care, but because it's a weight that's too heavy for them to carry. When they see you living, breathing, and shining without begging for their attention, it sends a quiet but powerful message. I love you deeply, but I do not need you to survive. I hope you come back when you're ready. And sometimes, that is the very key that opens the door. I can guess what you're thinking right now. But what if they never come back? That's the heavy fear that creeps in during the middle of the night, isn't it? What if this silence lasts forever? I want to gently remind you, relationships, especially with our children, are rarely a straight line. They twist, they pause, they stretch. Silence doesn't always mean the story is over. Sometimes it just means the next chapter is still being written. And yes, it may take longer than you'd like, but that doesn't mean all is lost. According to a groundbreaking 2023 study from Stanford University's Center on Longevity, which will be released to the public soon, the most effective way for parents experiencing this type of ambiguous loss to protect their mental health is to view the situation as information, not an insult. This mindset shift changes everything. When someone goes quiet, they are communicating something. Maybe it's stress, maybe immaturity, maybe avoidance. But when you stop trying to decode their silence and simply accept it as where they are right now, you remove your need to react. You take your power back. And to protect your heart during this waiting period, set a quiet boundary for yourself. Not a punitive one, but one that honors your peace. Stop rereading old messages. Stop refreshing your phone's screen, hoping to see their name. Every time you do that, you're just reliving the pain. Instead, tell yourself, they know where to find me when they're ready. And then, intentionally, turn your attention towards something healing. Let's also talk about forgiveness. Not just for them, but for you. It's easy to carry the weight of what you wish you'd done differently. The harsh word, the missed opportunity. Forgive yourself for being human, for not always having the right answers. Parenting doesn't come with a perfect script. It's written in real time, with real emotions. And as for forgiving your child, that doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It means saying, I am choosing peace over pain. I am choosing freedom over resentment. And I want to share one last thing with you. And please listen carefully, as I will soon be sharing this information only in my private consultations. Your value is not determined by your children's presence in your life. You are still needed in this world. Your voice still matters. Your wisdom, your stories, your laughter. They are not leftovers. They are gifts. So if your child isn't calling, don't let that close your heart to the rest of life. Remember that joy, real, everyday joy, is still possible, even in the middle of the silence someone else leaves behind. So what if one day they do come back? What if the phone rings? What if they knock on your door and say, "I want to talk"? In that moment, everything in you might want to unload the pain you've been carrying. That's understandable. But let me offer this. Meet them with presence, not pressure. Don't make them prove their love. Let the conversation unfold like a slow sunrise, not a courtroom cross-examination. If they sense that being near you means judgment, blame, or guilt, they may retreat again. But if they sense warmth and openness, they may stay. And if they don't come back, if the silence remains, then you must remember this. Not every open heart gets a response, but every open heart still beats with life, with hope, with dignity. If this video brought you any comfort or clarity, please give it a like so the algorithm can help more people just like us find it. And if you've ever felt this heartbreak, this feeling of being shut out, just type, "I'm with you," or "You're not alone" in the comments. You never know whose heart you might touch just by showing up. It's the greatest gift we can give each other. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because this is a space where wisdom, truth, and grace belong to you at every age. Your story isn't over yet. The best parts might still be waiting to unfold.